My name's Michelle Robnett. I'm an attorney with an estate planning practice in Edmond. My primary purpose today is to explain the major provisions of the Oklahoma Advance Directive for Healthcare. This is commonly a document that you'll see as part of an estate planning package. It's also a document that hospitals and surgery centers and other healthcare providers will ask you if you have. This document is governed by Oklahoma law, meaning it is a legal document, and you will see it perhaps in various formats, but the major provisions within each document are going to be largely the same. It's also important to understand that this document only deals with end-of-life care decisions, and at the time it becomes operative, you are unable to make the decisions on your own or communicate them with your doctor. For instance, you might be in a comatose state or unresponsive for other reasons. You may have Alzheimer's or dementia and just simply can't communicate these decisions. The living will is the first section of the Advance Directive. In this section, you are specifically giving instructions regarding life-sustaining treatment, which would be any kind of treatment that prolongs your life, although it will not cure any condition that you have. The life-sustaining treatment you might receive would be artificial food and hydration because you are no longer able to eat or drink. It also could be some type of mechanical means of support, such as a ventilator or other type of machine to keep a body organ, lung, heart, kidneys, liver functioning so that your life is prolonged. When you complete the Advance Directive, you will be looking at 3 different scenarios, and you'll be asked to make one of 3 instructions in each scenario. You can make a different instruction in each scenario. You do not have to keep making the same one. The 3 instructions are: 1, you do not wish to have any type of life-sustaining treatment, but you do want the administration of artificial food and hydration. The second instruction is you don't want any of it, and the third instruction is you want all of it. A quick note is that you can modify any instruction in a scenario by initialing at the bottom of the scenario and in a later section writing in your modifications. We'll discuss that shortly. The first scenario is called terminal condition. 2 physicians have diagnosed you as having a condition or an illness that is incurable and will ultimately end in your death within no more than about 6 months. So if you are in that scenario, which instruction would you choose? Again, number 1 is you don't want the life-sustaining treatment or mechanical means of support, but you do want the administration of artificial food and hydration. The second instruction is that you don't want anything, and the third instruction is that you want it all. The second scenario is called persistently unconscious. You're in a vegetative state or a coma, and 2 physicians have determined that they believe your condition is irreversible and you're not going to recover. Again, if you're in that situation, what would you choose? The third scenario is called end-stage condition. In this situation, you are not terminal, you don't have a terminal illness, you're not in a vegetative state, but something you are suffering from or have an illness is something that ultimately you would die from, unless of course you die from something else first. Again, you are not able to communicate your wishes even though you're not comatose or have this terminal illness. In this situation, I think commonly it's going to be a patient who has Alzheimer's or severe type dementia. Again, if you're in this situation, which instruction would you choose? I mentioned the fact that you could modify your instruction. With my clients, I find that what they typically would choose is the third instruction, where they want everything, but they want to limit the time frame in which that instruction is carried out. In other words, they don't want this to be an endless prolonging of your life. So for example, you might say, I want the administration of all life-sustaining treatment, but within a time frame of say 30 days or 3 months, whichever time frame you choose. If your condition has not changed, you direct that the life-sustaining treatment and artificial food and hydration be withdrawn. The second section of the Advance Directive is where you appoint the person as your healthcare proxy. This is a person who will actually authorize the doctor to follow your instructions that you've previously given. Your healthcare proxy cannot change your instruction, so they just authorize the doctor to carry through with what your instructions are. The third section of the Advance Directive is where you have the opportunity to make anatomical gifts or donating body parts that are viable after your death. If you decide to do so, then you have the option of choosing how your parts are used. Transplantation, which would be body organs, heart, liver, kidney, other types of organs that are transplanted. Therapy, which for example might be scraping skin cells and letting them grow in a lab so that burn patients can have skin grafts. You can also opt to have your parts be available for medical or dental science. This is not a cadaver situation. Again, it's just the parts that are viable after your death. If you've chosen to make anatomical gifts, you can decide that you're okay if they use any part of your body. Essentially, you're saying, they can use my full body. Again, it's not a cadaver situation. Or you can pick and choose the parts that you're okay that they use. The last section of the Advance Directive is the general information section. You confirm that you're over the age of 18. You note that if you were to be pregnant, that these instructions would not be followed during the pregnancy. It's also important to note that you will always be administered medications for pain and comfort, regardless of which instructions you have chosen. So in a nutshell, that's the Oklahoma Advance Directive for Healthcare. If you have any questions, be sure and talk with your estate planning attorney.